Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to talk about a really different way of looking at cancer. What if the root cause isn't just about our genes? What if it's all about the terrain of our bodies? Yeah, let's dig into that.
All right, let's kick things off with a huge question. Is getting cancer really just bad luck? You know, like a random roll of the genetic dice? For ages, that's kind of what we thought. But what if there's a whole other side to this story?
To really get this, there's this great metaphor from functional medicine. It says we should stop thinking of cancer as just a bad seed. Instead, picture it as, and I quote, an abnormal result grown from polluted and barren soil. I mean, think about that. That one idea completely flips the script, right? We're no longer just staring at the cancer cell, we're looking at the environment that let it grow in the first place.
So let's really dive into this whole seed versus soil idea. What if the actual problem isn't the cancer cell, the seed at all? What if the real problem is the internal landscape of our body, the soil, that's letting that seed sprout and just take over everything?
And this visual here just lays it out perfectly. On one side, you've got the conventional view, which is laser-focused on the seed, right? That one little genetic mutation. But on the other side, you have the terrain theory, which is telling us, hey, wait a minute, let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Let's look at the soil, our body's entire internal environment.
Okay, so if the soil is the problem, what's polluting it? Well, you might be surprised to hear that it often starts in our gut. We're talking about a condition called leaky gut.
So your intestines have this amazing protective barrier, right? It's sealed up by things called tight junctions. Think of them like the mortar between bricks. But with leaky gut, that mortar starts to crumble. Those seals weaken, they break apart, and suddenly you've got these tiny gaps. And through those gaps, harmful stuff, toxins, start leaking right out of your gut and into your bloodstream where they absolutely do not belong.
And this, you guys, sets off a really nasty chain reaction. These toxins, especially one called LPS, get into your blood. And what happens next? Your immune system freaks out. It activates all these receptors, and that kicks off a state of chronic, low-grade inflammation all over your body. And that inflammation? It's basically like pouring fertilizer on any potential cancers just waiting for a chance to grow.
Now, I want to be super clear. This isn't just some wacky theory. We've got hard science to back this up. We're talking about major studies published in huge journals like Cancer Cell and Nature, and they've shown precisely how these toxins from the gut can directly fuel the growth of liver and colorectal cancers. The link is there. It's real, and it's been documented.
But wait, it's not just about pollution. The soil can also become, well, a barren desert. And that brings us to the second massive problem, cellular dehydration.
And this is a really important distinction to make. We're not just talking about, feeling thirsty because you didn't drink enough water today. Cellular dehydration is much deeper. It's when a cell's outer wall, its membrane, gets damaged, and it literally can't hold on to water anymore. It just can't stay hydrated.
So you've basically got this internal drought going on, and the consequences are huge. It creates a massive energy crisis inside the cell. Why? Because its little power plants, the mitochondria, they just can't do their job when they're all dried out.
Okay, so to survive this energy crisis, the cell does something desperate. It makes a switch. It completely abandons its normal, efficient, oxygen-based energy system, and instead, it starts fermenting sugar for fuel. Think of it like a car suddenly trying to run on molasses. This big metabolic switch has a name. It's called the Warburg effect. And guess what? It's a classic defining feature of pretty much all cancer cells.
So this leads to a double whammy disaster. First, the cell is starving for energy. But second, and this is huge, the messed up signals from being so dehydrated mean the cell starts ignoring the command to die. That command is called apoptosis, or programmed cell death. So the cell basically becomes immortal. It just keeps growing and dividing with zero checks and balances. And again, just like with leaky gut, the research connects all these dots. There are studies showing that how hydrated a cell is, well, it's absolutely fundamental to controlling how it grows and how it makes energy. This creates a direct line from that dry, barren, dehydrated state right to the kind of behavior we see in cancer.
So, we've laid out the problem, right? We've got a polluted and barren internal soil. Which brings us to the million-dollar question, what in the world do we do about it? Well, the solution, according to this theory, requires a huge shift in how we think. Instead of putting all our effort into just attacking the weed, the tumor, the goal becomes cultivating a healthy internal terrain. Creating a clean, hydrated environment where a weed like cancer can't even get a foothold to begin with.
And really, it boils down to two main actions. First, you've got to fix that leaky gut to turn off the constant supply of inflammation. And second, you have to restore that cellular hydration, repair the cell membranes, so our little mitochondrial power plants can get back to work and function properly.
I mean, this quote just says it all, doesn't it? The terrain must be changed to stop cancer. The focus has to be on the environment, because at the end of the day, a healthy terrain is our body's absolute best defense.
And so this leaves us with one last really crucial question. And this one isn't just theoretical. It's personal for all of us. How can we actually change the terrain inside our own bodies? What steps can we take to start weeding out the pollution and watering the soil? To start cultivating a healthier garden inside ourselves?